Hey, thank you for checking out this video. Today I want to show you how to make this arch backdrop with removable shelves from just one 4x8 sheet of MDF. So to start out, I already ripped 1 foot off the side of the sheet, so now it's 3 feet wide. And then I'm going to measure down 18 inches and then 18 inches into the center, so that way I get a perfect arch out of it. I'm using my router and circle jig to cut this out, but you can do this a couple different ways if you don't have these tools. You can use a pencil and a piece of string in that same centered spot to mark it out, and then cut it out with a jigsaw and clean it up with a sander. I just like doing it this way because I have a router and just a couple passes and I have it the exact shape that I want. And then once I have the arch cut out, I just cut the bottom to whatever height that I want it. This one's going to be 6 feet. So that leaves me 2 feet by 3 feet for the bottom that I will use to make the base. And then I'm going to be cutting the shelves to 5 inches wide by 30 inches long. I know you'll see here it doesn't look like I am using that bottom piece to make the shelves, but you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to use that long piece that you have from cutting it down, because it is 12 inches. So that way you'll easily be able to get 4 5-inch shelves by 30 inches out of that. And now that my shelves are all cut, I'm going to use my drill press with a stop, so that way I get the holes drilled for the hanger bolts in the same spot on all 4 of my shelves. If you don't have a drill press and a stop like this, you'll probably just have to make a jig and use a handheld drill. The hardware that I'm using to hold the shelves in place on the backdrop are these 1/4-20 hanger bolts. So one side you can see is coarse thread to go into the shelf, and then the other side is threaded for bolts, and what I'll be using is a wing nut on here, and it's just a 1/4-20 wing nut. I'll link everything down below. And then to get the spacing on the arch, I'm starting at the bottom and then I'll work my way up using some pieces of scrap that are 12 inches long. But once I get the bottom shelf done, I can set that in place and then just use that as my point of reference as I work towards the top. The bottom shelf is 9 inches from the bottom, and then each shelf after that is 12 inches. I made a little jig using the same stop that I had on my drill press, so that way they are spaced out perfectly the same as on my shelves. And then I cut this jig to the same exact length as my shelves as well. And if you wanted to pick up those plans for free, use the code GerberArch at checkout on my website, and that will make them free. And it's just a downloadable PDF. Make sure and check them out. And then I like to add a little radius to the corner of the shelves. I think it makes it flow a little bit better since you have an arch. Might as well have rounded corners on your shelves instead of hard 90-degree angles. So now we're going to be creating the base, and we're going to use that 2 foot by 3 foot, and we're going to cut it corner to corner to give it that tapered look. Then we're going to cut out some 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch notches with my jigsaw. One thing you can do that will make these cuts a little bit cleaner, that you'll see here in a second, that I did on the stretcher piece, is I used my Forstner bit to drill out the hole, so that way I just have to go straight in and straight in. It's cut out perfectly. And then once those are all done, you should have something that looks something like this. And don't be afraid to make the notches just a little bit bigger so they slide in and out of there easier. And then I'm just attaching the back using some basic hinges I picked up from Home Depot. I got these in a 3-pack. I'll also link those down below, but any hinges that you have should probably work just fine. Just make sure you use enough screws and you put some hinges towards the top and some hinges at the bottom. And you can see here I don't have any sandbags or weights that you actually use for these, so just threw a couple clamps on there to keep it in place while I attach the shelves. So on the first one of these that I made, I used hanger bolts that were like 4 inches long and had to cut them down with an angle grinder, or you don't have to cut them down, you could just leave them. So you can see here those 2¼ inch hanger bolts work perfectly for going through a 3/4 inch piece of MDF. Thank you for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. Make sure, give it a like, subscribe, let me know in the comments what you think, and I will have the plans linked down below, or my best attempt at plans. I've never made plans before, but this seemed like an easy enough project that I could probably get you at least a cut list. Check that out on my website. I will have that link below. And for those of you who made it all the way to the end, here's a little look at the cut list that will be available, along with each individual piece and the dimensions for it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.